Hey, in today's video, I'll be talking about how to deal with a yelling, screaming spouse. And if this is your first time in watching my video, I just want to introduce myself briefly. My name is Chinda. I'm a life and marriage coach. I'm an author, a youth mentor, and a preacher. So basically, I help couples in relationship to discover their unique relationship personalities and differences so they can navigate through all marital challenges to build a satisfying, loving, and fulfilling relationship. As you join us in this video today, I will appreciate if you can just share it on your page to help someone and also provide comments as we go ahead with this exciting topic today because it's a topic that I strongly believe that every one of us maybe has fallen one victim or the other. But how do we deal with those that are habitually yelling at us? So I would like you to share, and I just want to do that in a separate page now so that we can have more people to actually watch our broadcast today. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just trying to share this. And if you're just joining me, I will appreciate as well if you can also share this on your page so that we can reach um, more people. Okay, right. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. So I also want to know where you are tuning in from, please, if you don't mind, on the comment box. If you can just tell me where you are tuning in from. Are you from the UK? Are you from India? Are you from Nigeria, South Africa, America? I just want to know just to have some engagement here. And also, if you hear me clearly, you can just put on the heart emoji as well, just like as we, discuss this important topic today. So I just want to go straight to what I want to share today. Like I said, I'll be looking at how to deal with yelling and screaming spouse. And one of the challenge that we have around this topic today is most people are habitual victims of yelling at others. And whenever someone is yelling or whenever someone is screaming, a lot of time they do this out of outburst, out of anger. The question is when that happens, there's somebody that's receiving all the yelling, there's someone that's receiving all the screaming, and someone is, receiving this emotional instability, which can be so painful and a lot of time very damaging to the relationship. So that is why first thing I want to talk about is why do people yell? Why do people scream at their spouses? The first thing I want to say is number one, they have a poor coping skills. I know most people they don't have coping skills when situations are not working out the way they want, or things are happening that they are not particularly happy about. And then the only way to cope with that situation, the only way to cope with that problem they have with their spouse is to raise their voices, is to scream and is to shout and is to yell so much that even the other spouse sometimes can be very scared. And in one way or the other, we have yelled in different ways. A lot of us have done that occasionally. People raise their voice because of different reasons. But I'm talking about habitual yelling, habitual screaming and shouting. You cannot express yourself clearly to your spouse. You have to yell in order for your spouse to know exactly what is happening or what you're trying to say. So people yell because they have poor coping skills and they feel that the only way to deal with that outburst of emotion is to raise their voices on their spouse. Another one is, which to be honest, I see this as something very very common to most spouse when they feel they have lost control. For instance, something has happened in the relationship, or someone has said something, or they're actually looking for something, or they heard something. The only way sometimes they try to ensure that they're in control of that situation is by yelling, is by screaming, is by shouting at their spouse. In doing that, they feel they are in control, they feel they are in charge, and they feel they are dominating that particular situation at the time. So the feeling of loss of control could make someone to yell and scream and shout, and that could be very, very devastating, as we're going to see later. Now, which other reason as well that makes people to yell and scream at their spouses? I think another one is when they are feeling threatened, or they're feeling somebody's invading their space, or they're feeling that, they are not wanted, or they are not heard, or no one is listening to them. So they begin to yell, they begin to scream and to shout. And a lot of time is as a result of the outburst of anger. So that's another reason. Sometimes people yell again because they are frustrated, frustrated with the situation, frustrated with their own life, frustration with everything happening to them at that time. So the only way to escape or feel better is to yell and scream and shout. And if this thing is habitual in a relationship, habitual in a marriage, it can be very, very dangerous, and it will not be very good for anyone at all. So that is why it's very, very important for one not to keep yelling at their spouses. And some other time again is because of they have learned this behavior at home. I mean, if you are in an environment whereby there's constant yelling at home, the dad is yelling at the mom is yelling at the dad, and the siblings are yelling at one another. So you grow up in an environment that screaming and shouting and yelling was the order of the day. So a lot of young people grew up, and children grew up, you know, learning that behavior from their parents or from their carers or from whoever is in charge of their lives at the time while they are growing up. And now they are married themselves. And the only way they can communicate when they are not happy, or when they are sad, or when they are feeling frustrated, is to yell and scream on their spouses. And this can be very, very dangerous if it continues like that. Now, the other reason is some people are just aggressive, very, very aggressive. That's one of the reasons why people yell. They're very, very aggressive. So the aggressive tendencies leads them to yell and scream at the top of their voices in such a way that we're just frightened and make the other spouse to feel so scared of them. Sometimes the consequence of yelling like this, the consequence of this outburst of screaming and shouting and yelling at your spouse for whatever reason is it's gonna break down communication line between both of you. It's not gonna help the relationship in any way. And a lot of times can even cause more havoc. And sometimes the relationship is broken and that it's almost unfixable because while you are yelling at the other person and you constantly do this, you constantly yell, you constantly scream, and there's nothing that you say when you are not in your best state that is just normal. If that is habitual, if that is continuous, that would definitely affect your spouse. That would definitely cause more pain than good to your spouse if you don't do something about it. And that is why it's very, very important that you know how to deal with someone that is yelling. If your spouse is the yelling type, the screaming, if your spouse is constantly doing this, then you need to look for a way to deal with such kind of behavior because it's destructive. It's not going to help at all. It's going to affect the relationship deeply. Just a matter of time. Everybody is going to be feeling really, really terrible in that relationship. So, how do you handle yellers? How do you handle those, especially your spouse, that a lot of times this is their habit towards you who is receiving the screaming and the shouting and the yelling, and that makes you feel really, really bad. I think one of the things I want to say is that you just need to stay calm. And I'm not saying that this is easy sometimes, especially when the yeller is just, screaming and shouting and saying all kind of things. And sometimes their words can be so deadly and can be so demoralizing, and sometimes can really get you even upset. So you that is hearing and listening to your spouse yell at you like this, I think it's important for you to also just sit back and just be calm, because two wrongs will not make a right. If they are yelling at you and they are saying all these things to you, and you are there, you want to react on the same level, on the same path. A lot of times, the yeller, the way to feel satisfied, it could lead to physical abuse. It could lead to some serious physical abuse that can become so deadly. So you that is receiving the spouse, one of the way you would deal with the yelling spouse is to be calm. Regardless of what they are saying, you remain calm, you quiet, because at that point they are boiling with anger, they are boiling with negative emotions, and sometimes their mind and their mental state is not all right. And if you try to walk with them on that level, if you try to meet them on that level, you will just realize that that is how most people are physically abused. A lot of things happen when somebody is yelling and screaming, and you can see the expression of their face that they are really, really angry, and they're almost trying to hurt you. Then it's important for you to just sit back and ensure that you don't react exactly, you don't give them the exact mirror of their action. Otherwise that can lead to something that is very, very dangerous. And sometimes why that is happening, the other way to deal with this again is just to sit back and begin to look at the mental step or mental process of what just happened. Why are they screaming and shouting? I mean, there's a situation on ground at the moment, but you're realizing that they can't handle it. So something is definitely happening to them. Something is definitely happening to this individual. So the question is, what trigger this? Is this unavoidable? Is it preventable? What can I do to support? So that is why it's very, very important for you not to react immediately while they're yelling and screaming. Try to understand what exactly is causing all this. Is very, very important for you to take that step. And then, you know, because one of the things with yellers is that the moment you keep calm, a lot of times they feel they're in control, they feel they've won, and sometimes their emotions, a lot of times their emotions may just slow down a bit because you've been so calm throughout the whole yelling and screaming episode that is happening. The scene is so charged. So you calmly just sometimes you might just walk away, or just say, look, um, the way you what is happening right now, I don't know what to do. Um, I think it would be better for us to just address this another time, because you've given him time to yell and they are just calm, and then you cannot calmly speak to them. If you don't want to address this thing right there, I think one of the things you need to do is just to calmly walk away and then come back and think about all that has happened, think about all that's been said, and then think about what actually caused this scenario, this episode that is happening right now. And then what you need to do, you need to come back to address that. You need to take your time and sit with this individual, because this thing has been happening over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you can see that this is a learned behavior. This is something that you've just discovered and is happening over and over and over again. Then you need to do something about this. So you see them to share your feeling as well in a very calm atmosphere, in a very peaceful atmosphere, to share your feeling with this, ultimate healer, this one that cannot just control themselves or their emotions. And now, and share with them how this thing make you feel. Share with them the pain this is causing you. Share with them how you feel about when they yell and scream and shout. And like I said, some of this yell, it becomes a habit. Habit takes some time to break. So if they try to deal with this by themselves and they try to see what causes this, they need to look for a way to address it. Sometimes they might deal with it by themselves and they're able to address it properly. But a lot of other times, they might need professional help. You see what I mean? They might need professional help in order for them to know how to improve and how to cope with situations that probably is not working as they actually thought or even the way they want it to be. So they can get counselors, they can meet psychologists, and they can, look for help in order to deal with. They can even go for anger management, whatever it is. They look for a way to deal with this issue because sometimes it could be psychological problems, sometimes it could be the way they were brought up, sometimes it could be what they have been observing from their parents. So all these things, a combination that they need a way to deal with this, aggressive, learned, even abusive. Because one thing you need to understand that when someone is constantly yelling at you, when someone is constantly, saying things and in anger and outbursts, they're trying to gain control of you. They want to dominate you. And sometimes as well is intimidation, right? So they're trying to intimidate you with their voices. They're trying to intimidate you with what is very dangerous. And that is why it's very, very important for you to look for a way so that you don't fall victim continuously. Because otherwise, this thing can even affect your emotional state. It will affect your mental state. It will affect your soundness. You'll be so demoralized. And at the end, the relationship will continue to go into more deteriorating state. So this is how you deal with those that yell and scream, especially spouses. And the reason why I say a lot of time this behavior can be um, worked on, this behavior can be dealt with, because a lot of these yellers they have jobs, they have business partners, they have clients, and they have customers, and on a rare occasions you see them raise their voices to their customers or to their boss or to their colleagues at the office. You rarely see them do this, which means in a certain scenario, in a certain environment, they try as much as they can to control. Because at work, I mean, there are people that will offend you. There are people that will not see the way you see. There are people that will not be comfortable with you. And, sometimes it's not personal feeling, but because of their attitude and behavior, you can feel, hurt. You can feel upset. You can feel very angry with some things you see sometimes with people. But a lot of times you don't behave like you're a monster in their presence. You don't yell and scream and shout and behave like you've lost everything because they would just think that, you're psychologically, something is wrong with you. But now it's with your spouse. So you do this to your spouse without even thinking. You do this to your spouse without even realizing that this thing is damaging to your spouse. And a lot of times we spend about 37 to 40 hours at work every week and we meet all these people, but we never yell at them, we never scream or shout or say anything to them. But the moment we come back home, and then whatever is the frustration or whatever our feelings, whatever our behaviors that we've learned, we just made the whole thing and pour it on our spouses. It is dangerous. And if you're watching this and you're a yeller, you scream all the time at everybody around you, you are always very aggressive, I think you need help because you are not just help hurting yourself, you're hurting a lot of people around you. And at the end of the day, that could psychologically affect even your children, your wife, and everyone around you. So you need to look for help. I need to start working on it. So that is just to summarize everything that I wanted to talk about today. I want to say that, look, you need to just provide your comment if you know other ways to deal with somebody that is yelling or how you have also dealt with yellers. I will really appreciate if you can just provide your comment on the comment box and share your knowledge, share your own personal experiences and our experiences you've observed so we can help others as well to be empowered and to know what to do. And if you have other ideas, or if you have other ways or reasons why people yearn, so that people can know what are the trigger points why they yearn, and they can begin to look for a way to filter those emotions when they are feeling like that. I hope we've been able to share this, and I believe it's going to help us, many people that are struggling with those that are yelling at them. I also want to use this opportunity to talk about the Couples Connect conference, which is coming up on the 6th of July. Just a couple of days from now, we'll be having that conference. And like I said in my previous video on my page, that this is purely going to be an online conference now. And we're quite excited that we are going to actually have an awesome time with these great and amazing speakers coming to share wealth of knowledge and wealth of experience they have built over the years. So it will be exciting for you to go to www.couplesconnectconference.com to book your online ticket, so that you can watch with your mobile phone, with your tablet, with your laptop, and to join other amazing couples and singles that want to learn more about relationship and see how they can make it grow. I strongly believe that God is going to bless us, and we're going to have an awesome time as we come together. Also, please share this video, tag someone, provide your comment, because you just don't know if this can just help someone out there. God bless you, and I will speak to you again. Take care now. Bye.